Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the morning view. Hope you guys are doing well. Happy Thursday, 23rd of May. I know sometimes I like to boast about the weather, yeah, here in England when it gets a little bit warm, gets a bit sunny. Last couple of days, no boasting. I can't lie to you, monsoon settings. Weather's not making up its mind what it wants to do. Still like 18, 19, but literally the heavens have opened up quite a few times. So let us know what the weather's like where you are, how you getting on. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Where are we at straight off the bat? We're at nearly 100 likes straight away. Let's just round up. Nearly 100 likes straight away, which is great for the start of the show. Have you liked the video? Yes. 85%. Well done to you. Have you not liked the video? Doing it now. 14%. You disgraces. Get liking. Get involved. Kristen says it's overcast in Colchester. Who else have we got? Trinity with Dangor on the floor. We don't win anymore, says C Mac. I thought that was KG's little daughter there in the chat. Ten Hag stays till his contract is done and the club is settled, and that's it, says F4B ESY. Listen, we got a lot to talk about because the rumors are rumoring. DiMarzio, I mean, he was the Romano before the Romano. Not so much now, but he was. Big following. Made an outrageous claim yesterday that everybody was going, everyone was talking about. We'll talk a little bit about that. Kieran McKenna, there's so much talk about him.
A lot to talk about him.
Zerbi's dream, Ashworth blunder. So much to get into. So, like I said, we set the bar. What are we setting the bar at, Owen? 750, 600, 650 now. Is 650 the new what we should set given our new setup?
I mean, maybe it's 650. Maybe, like I said, maybe it's 750. I don't know. Let's start with 600. Start with 600. We'll just see. We'll judge it as the morning goes on. But yes, you're right, Flex.
Yes.
There is a lot to get into. Starting with Gianluca DiMarzio, and this just a very, very strange story. This is one of those ones where it's like you have to discuss what he said and also discuss the person, the outlet, the credibility, all of the above, because it was certainly a very strange story yesterday. So Gianluca DiMarzio, and again, the outlet, talking to soccernews.nl, a Netherlands-based outlet, said the following about Erik ten Hag and possible replacements for him in this summer. Said, at the end of the season, Manchester United will say goodbye to ten Hag. It is certain they will be saying goodbye to him. Very final with what he was saying there. Continues by saying Kieran McKenna is Brighton's #1 target, but he's also already spoken to Manchester United. If he goes to Chelsea, United will go for Mauricio Pochettino. Manchester United's targets are McKenna and Pochettino. Zerbi is also on the list, but he's not been in contact with United in recent days. So really, Flex, I mean, that first bit, saying like he's definitely, it's saying goodbye to him. It's, you know, end of the season, it's going to be done. Very, very strong stuff. At the same time, I think rightfully so, a lot of people, when that came out yesterday and saw it, said, if you had a story that nobody else has at the moment, we haven't heard Romano, we haven't heard Ornstein, we haven't heard Simon Stone, we haven't heard anyone say anything like this. All the reporting has been, it's 50-50, it's up in the air, nobody knows anything. If you did have that kind of information, why would an Italian-based journalist to a Dutch-based, not super well-known website just give that news out on the exclusive? Would you not save that for your own channels? Would you not go to Sky Sports News? Would you not do something like that? So the credibility on this one is not strong whatsoever.
Very questionable.
I mean, for me, I don't know what you think, but for me, it feels like, well, let me sort of put a bit of a guesswork out there, and if it's proved to be true, hey, I called it first.
He's back in the game. He's revived.
Yeah. Do you think that's what he's doing?
I think so. I think it's really ballsy to do it because, as we understand it to be, it's 50-50. So if you choose one side and say this will definitely happen, you've also got a 50-50 chance of being right, obviously, or wrong. DiMarzio, again, like if you don't know much about DiMarzio, again, before Fabrizio Romano was Fabrizio Romano with the Here We Goes, and before Ornstein came into it, like he's one of those. What's the other guy with the bald head? He used to be quite up there as well. Alan, what's his name? I can't remember his name. If I see his face, I'll go, I remember him. He's part of this sort of conglomerate of like journos that before the superstar journal became that, like how it is now, he was one of the leaders of that. Used to be quite credible, actually. And just hasn't, he's not part of this new school vibe. And I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. And I think you have to go off like who the main news bearers are now. And if something like that was so strong, Romano would be all over that. Ornstein would be all over that. Or even like sometimes it's not even always Ornstein and Romano. Sometimes they go as per Matt Law from the Times or as per David McDonald. Sometimes those guys get the big scoops, and Romano and Ornstein, who are the main two, have to follow suit and go as per. So even if it, like a Luckhurst or just
well, even if it was someone from the Netherlands, Mark
Verwij,
Verwij,
Van der Kraan.
If it was even something like that, you go, well, that's a bit more to this. It just feels.
I think this is too wide. It's too wide. It is extremely strong, but the sources ain't sourcing. It's not matching up with the outlets. And listen, if he's right, it's one of the ones where he's back in the game. Your Christian Falk famously, with the Ralph Rangnick situation. It's not true, was it? No chance it's happening.
Not true. They had talks in the past.
Sudden, there you go. Then Ralph Rangnick came to Man United, and his credibility took a hit. Didn't he do something wrong with the Haaland thing as well?
I'm not sure.
Or did he redeem himself? I can't remember. He's had some bad ones.
Whenever you speak that definitively on it, I mean, again, it's the maybe that I think that's what took people by surprise. It wasn't the same line that it's been reported, which is, well, we'll see what happens after the FA Cup final. Like Romano's one's been quite interesting. What he's been saying on his YouTube channel with Ten Hag, he's been saying that, well, it's not necessarily the result that's super important for Erik Ten Hag's future on Saturday. It's everything else. It's the performance, the attitude, the general feeling coming out of the game. Like all of those things are going to be factored into what happens, which again leads you to go, well, then if all of that's being factored in, it could go one of two ways, which again, by definition, is 50-50. Like it's 50-50. Now, you can make an argument with more people coming on the market over the last few days. Maybe it does sway things a little bit further.
Yeah, that's factual. That's factual factors, like different things that could change what's happened, because it's factual that there's more options. So there's more to talk about. Oh, they could do that, or they could do that. Like Ornstein said, it's one to watch. Like it's not. That's all he said about Maurizio Pochettino. I know we're sort of fast forwarding, but I'm just saying in terms of how this is reported, one to watch. That's
Nobody knows
because
Nobody
it's free.
Knows. Yeah,
so it's one to watch.
Yeah,
a lot of these, and then a lot of these things when Ornstein comes on or Romano, we know and say this a lot. You save the really, really like boom. You save that for your own platform. Why even going to Sky? Like even if Ornstein's on the paper talk or whatever. Why is he going to go on there and break the world exclusive? Nobody else has this. I'm going to give it to Sky. No, he's going to go on his Twitter that has X amount of million people on it. He's going to go on his own Ornstein thing and put exclusive with the Sirens, and he's going to break it. Me, David Ornstein. The same with Fabrizio Romano. When he goes on, obviously, big up. I saw him with Culture Cams the other day. Big up. That's great work, obviously, with Expressions and the guys at the Puma doing some stuff with JD Sports. When he does stuff with, I think, Give Sports or Give Me Sports, whoever it is.
Give Me Sport, yeah.
Give Me Sport. When he does stuff with, I don't know if he's on United Stand or Five or whoever it is, like they'll give the latest of what they know. But later on in the day at 5 p.m. when he goes on a different outlet, he's going to say the same thing. When the big here we go is, he's never gone on another podcast and gone, well, what I can say is here we go. Yeah. Deal done. Contract is signed. 4-year deal. He will sign the contract. He has told the club he is leaving the club. And Manchester United will say they do have a new striker from now. Never happens. Only ever happens on his thing. So I'm not discrediting these guys going on different platforms. But what I'm saying is that if you just break it down just factually, they never do the breaking news. Nobody knows this but me. Everybody hear this on other platforms.
No, they definitely don't. Like you said, for an Ornstein one, for example, it's Ornstein Siren exclusive, and it links to where The Athletic, because he's a senior football reporter at The Athletic. Like that, you know what I mean? It'd be the same for if anyone does it on Sky Sports News. You know, if Darmesh or Carve gets an exclusive, going to be on Sky Sports, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As
Like
simple
that's
as
just,
that.
if with Romano, because he's not tied down to a specific, his platform is himself.
Yeah.
It's going to be on his social media
Matt
feeds.
Law
Like
from the
that's
Times. He writes a
yeah,
massive article in the
it's
Times, and it says
exactly.
exclusive. Zerbi will stay, or whatever it is.
Exactly. So yeah, I looked at it as more as, you know, Gianluca Damasio, like transfer seasons on the horizon or very close. Let's get your name back out there a little bit. Let's see what happens. It's one of the, I mean, and again, this isn't to discredit him, because who are we to discredit him? But
No.
you or I today could go, Eric Ten Hag's going to leave at the end of the season. It's done. It's confirmed. It could end up happening. You look like a genius. Got no inside information here. It's just you just, and sometimes that is part of the game with that kind of stuff, isn't it? As well, of just going, well, I think with some of the stuff I'm hearing, because you forget as well with a lot with journalists, they hear a lot of stuff that they don't publish, because they'll look at it and go, doesn't seem proper concrete to me, that like I'm ask around a little bit more. And it's you hear this a lot of, like, someone will go with a story first of this is going to happen, and then other journalists will jump on, not because they're just jumping on the news, but because they have heard it, but they just didn't feel confident enough to go with it at the time. They went,
snowballs, doesn't it?
I was thinking about going with that, but I wasn't sure. I was still ringing around. I was ringing clubs. I was ringing agents to hit it, and they hadn't really got back to me about it. So I wasn't really sure. Like, there is an element of sort of guesswork and risk that goes with any story. And in this case, there's a lot of risk because nobody else has said it yet, have they? So
exactly. So if you put your head above the pulpit as the guy, it's either going to backfire or you're going to look, amazing because you got it right. I mean, being in this space and like speaking to journalists, interviewing journalists, speaking to some journalists sort of in the background away from what we do, because we've established some relationships with some. It is fascinating stuff. I remember speaking to Mike Keegan, just, when all the Qatar stuff was going on, and, they are ready and waiting for their source to say something, to do something, to let them know something. And then they get given information. They have to decide within a short amount of time, is that credible? Do I trust my source? And he was explaining to me, he said, at the end of the day, it's who gets the scoop first. They're all in the same pool. They're all fighting for the exclusive. They're all fighting for the first person to get the news. And when the first person does do it, and it's true, you shake that person's hand or you send them their congratulations. You say, you won this race. You did it. Ben Jacobs got that exclusive, or David Ornstein got it, or as per Matt Law, or as per David McDonald, or whoever it may be. You give them their props, and then you go, right, I need to work harder. I need to work smarter. We need that. You got editors above them saying, if you're at the Mirror, if you're at the Times, you're at the Telegraph, you're at Manchester Evening News, you're at Bloomberg, you're at wherever it is, whatever your outlet is, they're saying, right, come on, that's your job. I need you to get this first. We need to be first. And if not, you congratulate the other journos and you say, well done. And you credit them and you say, as per this, as per that. So, actually, and that was another thing. I don't know if you saw last night, just in the interest of fake news, like Patrice Evra put out a tweet sort of saying football faculty basically quoted him saying, I haven't heard of football faculty, but they said that Patrice Evra on Man City's 4th Premier League title, this reaction is evident. No emotion, no feelings, nothing. Things would be different if a bigger club won it. No football world doesn't rate rigged success, and you can see it. Shots fired, they've put with the eyes, right? So he's quote retweeted and said, this is absolute bullshit. Fake news. Don't believe what you read unless you see me writing it. Then Andy Mitten, and then that readers added context thing that happens when something's fake.
Community notes,
Community notes have come in and said, Patrice Evra denied saying this. Then Andy Mitten says, there's loads of blag accounts making stuff up, Patrice. That's why we did this article and tracked down some of the people making up fake quotes. And it's a piece in The Athletic that he's done in like February. I just thought I'd give it a read. I missed this during February. And basically, it's a piece just talking about stories at Man United go viral every day. Many of them completely made up. Huge media accounts post or repost falsehoods, plagiarize journalists, and use pictures taken by professional journalists without credit or context, let alone payment. And social media makes it possible for people to make money by publishing this type of content. For some, fake news about Man United has become an income stream. The Athletic tracked down the people who do it. Like, it's a really interesting piece just to basically say, this fake stuff about Man United is like no other club in the world. Like, things just stick.
Crazy for it. I've noticed this. Like, whenever you scroll, I mean, I'm never on like Facebook nowadays, right? But sometimes you're scrolling through Facebook. It's the stuff you see on that platform, for me sometimes, it's more often it's not real than it's actually real. And it's about everything. It's about like TV show. I see there's some TV shows where it's like this TV show or this movie's just been announced, and like it hasn't. And you go to I always out of curiosity go to the comments to be like, I'll see what people are saying about that, going, oh, this is bullshit. And it's all believed. Or you see, like you say, there'll be a picture of a player and a quote, and they'll be like, I can't believe this person said this. And you go, I know he definitely didn't say that. And you go to the comments and they're all like, this is what's wrong with this player. This is what's wrong with this club. You go, that was never said. That is like, it is alarming. It is alarming. And it's not necessarily like, with the DiMarzio one here to be like, fake news, all that kind of stuff. Because I think the concerning stuff is just, like you said, the stuff that's more blatant, like the stuff like with quotes or things that people have said. And that's,
and the pictures,
that's wild.
I mean, he's got a quote in this piece. If you haven't read this piece, I really suggest you do. It's really good. Andy Mitten's a top journalist, like, very well respected, not just within the Man United community, but the wider football community, but especially obviously within the United community. He knows his stuff. Obviously been a fan all his life. So he's been on the whole fan journey of watching Man United home and away for many, many years before he was even a journo. And now he is a journo. I've seen him in action when we're sort of, at pressers or mixed zones and stuff. The amount of people he speaks to and has relationships with is incredible. So when he speaks, we listen. He's got an interview or some quotes of somebody who didn't want to be named because to protect their identity, don't want to lose money. He's like, I've seen my photos taken, my name taken off of work, and false quotes put over my photos by these accounts, said a photographer who asks not to be named to protect their job. I've challenged them and been blocked. You feel like you've been mugged by someone making money out of my stolen work. They're parasites. And it just goes on to basically list some of the fake stuff. Rashford, PSG, Rashford and stuff with Ten Hag. It is true Martial is out of training and unavailable for around 10 weeks, but the real reason is he's recovering from groin surgery. Because remember when that was it, when the thing about Martial falling out of everyone and and then it was, well, no, he's actually gone to get groin surgery. He's out for 10 weeks. Like, that's the reason. He's not gone on strike or,
Andy Mitten as well. He's written another piece actually today, which ties in, and it's a really interesting one. The title is, "Does it matter that Manchester United staff are coming from Manchester City?"
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And one of the quotes is that many of Man City staff have applied to work at Manchester United on the football side. According to a senior source, quote, "Every time a role comes up at our club, we're inundated with applications from Manchester City employees. Is that because of the atmosphere working at City, because they feel it's too regimented, or because they just want to change and they want to move on?" Now, he hasn't said this, but you could also argue, or is it a little bit of concern going, hey, my job might not be here in, like 18 months time because the club's gonna, possibly get some severe sanctions or something like that happening.
And I don't have to relocate, it's just across the road,
Very interesting.
Stay in the same house, Don't have to move down to London to go work for. It'd be good if I could just, go and work for United and keep the family and everyone still in school. And interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah, which I think we do. That sort of stuff happens all the time as well, by the way.
Well, it depends if it's a promotion, if it's a better role that you're in right now,
you're gonna go for it, aren't you? Yeah. The football rivalry of the thing of we're like, I would never go to City. Like if City came to me and said, "I'll tell you what, Flex, you're quite good at this presenting thing. Do you want to come and host in-house at City TV?"
Never.
Absolutely no amount of money could let me do ever. Like, I'm a Man United fan. I can't do that. But within jobs at football where you're not they
don't have allegiance, shall we say?
Allegiance, they have to be partial, apart from that type of stuff. Then no, they look at Omar Barada. He's been there for like 10 years, longer. So it's his job now. Let's get to the super chats. Tabra says, "Keep United tray away from Wembley at all costs." I saw this on.
I tell you what, like last.
Is he a jinx
so
or what?
So he's an account on football Twitter, and he's got obviously quite a big following. And the running joke is a bit like with you, with the jinx thing.
Got the judge in that.
But he was at the Bayer Leverkusen game last night, and obviously,
no, that's worse than Kim K. That's worse than Kim K going around the grounds.
Yeah, or which is the other one? Is it like Drake if he's wearing the shirt or something like that?
Oh no, yeah, if he bigs them up or says he supports them, or
or puts a bet on them or something like that.
Yeah, then it's over.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So he was there. He was there last night. But it must be said, like Atalanta were absolutely sensational. Lookman,
What story, mate?
Gasparini. I mean, legit. Leverkusen didn't lay a glove on them. Not even honestly, they were sensational. Xabi Alonso, terrible fraud in the mud, never going to.
Yeah,
That's
how
what
good.
says.
Couldn't even do the treble.
Exactly. Lost a game this season. What a fraud.
It's funny though how you build something up and be like Leverkusen. I tell you what, you just don't want to play against them. They always find last minute winners. You know, no one's going to beat them. But then people forget Atalanta destroyed Liverpool, destroyed them, embarrassed them, made them look foolish. And you know they're good.
Like
Zappa Costa,
a lot of Premier League rejects in there. You know,
that's
Zappa
mental.
Costa.
He was at Chelsea, isn't it? Zappa Costa.
Yeah, Zappa Costa, Scamacca, you know,
West
Ham. West Ham's like couple of games was like, don't like it in England, going back to Italy.
Yeah.
Even like Lookman, you know what I mean? Lookman, like.
Bro, I remember when Zappa Costa, not remembered, yesterday, he played a ball outside of the boot, switched to play first half. I went, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Kolasinac as well.
Kolasinac was there as well. Do you reckon Rasmus is looking at that going, shit?
Oh, yeah.
Could have been Europa League final, mate.
Even Ahmad. Tell you what, mate, shouldn't have left for you. Ahmad would have been the most senior player there now.
And this goes back to the point about managers with Gasparini, because I think he's like 66 or something, won his first trophy as a manager last night. A lot of failure in his career. He was manager of Inter Milan in 2011 for 3 months. 3 months. Wow. Lost like 5 games in a row, got the sack. Then, you know, got bounces a couple of times. I think he was at Genoa a couple of times. Goes to Atalanta 2016. Shaky start initially, you know, was close to being sacked initially. And then now, several years later, I mean, look at the job he's done with them. He's got them in Champions Leagues. He's got them now a Europa League win. Top manager, top job. It's about finding the right person, the right time, in the right place, isn't it? You know? Yeah. And big congratulations to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan says, if you get Poch, forget about fixing injury issues, says Ryan, a Chelsea fan. I don't know. It wasn't his fault, was it? It wasn't his fault.
Is it Ten Hag's fault? Is it Ten Hag's fault?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people are going to say.
Fault. Wow. Akash says, Dimarcio is attention seeking, wants to get back in there. Aminor says, I hope Ineos have identified a replacement. Big up to you, Aminor. Oh, so you're saying, well, that means you want Ten Hag to leave then. Ahmad says, my vote goes to Gian Gasparini for next manager. Look what he's just done. Yeah, like Owen was just saying. Aminor says, Kieran Maguire tweeted City relegation odds 25-1.
Yeah, that was the story as well. Yes, with the bookmakers for relegation for next season, and City's odds for relegation were obviously, gone up much lower than they should be. Well, we would usually be, but that's because nobody knows.
Nobody has a clue. Clue, mate. We're at just under 400 likes, 391 to be precise. Nearly 1,400 people watching, which is great for this time of the show. Not even halfway through. Glennie just come through with a good super chat as well. Says, remember the Qatar account on X? That one was funny, especially when the deal went through and he changed his name to an Ineos account.
Oh, honestly, I remember you saying at the time. I haven't seen
to this day, innit?
Yeah, honestly, Flex. I mean, they're not now. They're gone now. Well, they're gone now, but the accounts that did them still exist, and they try and get involved in like conversations that I've seen, and I just go like, I would never be able to show my face again. Like, you know what I mean with that. I mean, this was like. The announcements were coming out and they're going, no, the noises we're getting, it's still Qatar. That was like bullshit. It's just, but that is the day and age of, you know, engagement farming and all that kind of stuff of, no, I've built my audience based on doing this. And till the very end, I'm going to keep going with it. Keep going. And then whenever you got the sort of stories after the fact, you know, the SEC stuff and maybe some of the legal stuff, all that kind of thing.
And they pipe up again.
Yeah, they came back again. Told you I was right. Like, no, you're not. They're in control.
But I just think, but again, we have to laugh at those things because they're just not real.
But that's do you know what I mean?
They claim they are, but you have to go on Twitter on it. That's not real.
You do have to laugh.
Block it. Yeah, it's not real.
But the concern is when it stops getting funny is when you see the following that they've got, and you realize that a lot of them are people, like real people, and a lot of them do just, if they see it, it's real. So then, you know, because I'm reading it, so it must be real. No one does the sort of, let me just do a quick Google search on this. So let me go and check if this is real. I've read it once, it's real. And that's the worrying thing with it. And there was a lot of that. I mean, my goodness me, during that whole like takeover race and what have you, there was a lot of misinformation out there at that time. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was unstoppable every day.
Mm.
We just got drained just from doing it. And Ryan says, look back at Poch at Spuds and PSG. Muscle injuries have been a constant with his relentless training. Look at the reports from last night too. So bad. I haven't seen any
There were
reports saying that he run the players into the ground on that.
Well, there was a big piece from The Athletic, I think. I'd recommend reading it. Of basically, again, just like, well, this was kind of what I was sort of saying yesterday, that there are fans Chelsea fans you speak to that are upset that Poch is leaving because they looked at the end of the season and they want stability, they want to build something, blah, blah, blah. But there are also Chelsea fans that are like, wow, it's not an ideal time and I'm a bit concerned about the replacement, but I don't think he was the right guy. And you read that report, some of it's quite damning stuff of like, he didn't have a plan B. The training was a bit too, I forget the right word, but there were complaints about the training. There were complaints about injuries, certain things with academy players. There was complaints about how they'd be brought in just to sit on the bench or just get involved in training and then just discarded back to the academy without even being spoken to. Like, there are negatives. But then at the same time, if this were to happen with Erik ten Hag, what would our reaction be to that? What would people's reaction be to that? You go, wow, the club are trying to justify it because they're leaking information to The Athletic. Exactly. It's just it's the people that have got gripes are coming out and giving this information, as is the case with all reality. Is there were people at Chelsea that really like Poch. A lot of players really like Poch. There were people that didn't like Poch. And, you know, now that he's gone, everyone feels free to speak. So all of that kind of stuff is going up there. So it clearly was not all perfect there. But that would be the same for Erik ten Hag if he goes. It's not perfect at Man United. There'll be people there that really like him and some people that really don't. You know, that's so be prepared if that happens in the future, because it always does with every manager. Whenever any manager goes, then you get the article straight away going, yeah, it wasn't great here. And some things with trainings and something with players. Like, that's just what it is, isn't it?
It's not exactly. It's just rumors. Everyone says that like about us. That's the reason why we're blacker, because Erik ten Hag just runs them into the ground. Kimmich says, get the likes to 700 people. We're at 439. So yeah, you heard Kimmich. Wayne List says, if Omar and Dan don't officially work at United, surely it's just two blokes talking and not United concern. At least that is how they can play it.
I mean, they're talking off an Ineos account allegedly, which might be a bit of a problem. We'll get to that a bit later on.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later. Kieran McKenna.
Yes, Kieran McKenna. There's quite a lot on him, not just regarding Manchester United, but a lot of clubs are very interested. And it looks like, seemingly, Flex, he's going to be on the move this summer, seemingly. BBC going with an article yesterday with a name that I, by the way, love. Nick Mashita.
You're so childish.
But that's what it is. Nick Mashita. I thought I heard the name, but I thought that's really got to be a rough and school, it. Really rough and school, that one. But he has said that Ipswich manager Kieran McKenna is likely to reject any new deal amid interest from Chelsea and Brighton. The 38-year-old is also believed to be under consideration by Manchester United if they decide to make a change of Erik ten Hag's future in doubt. McKenna, who is contracted to Ipswich until 2027, is ambitious and is understood to be keen to take the next step in his career. Talks with Ipswich are likely to take place this week, and the Tractor Boys are expected to offer McKenna a new deal to convince him to stay at Portman Road. BBC Sport understands that is expected to fail, with the manager and assistant Martin Pertz, who was previously at Manchester United too, feeling the time is right to move. Chelsea are believed to be in pole position, despite Brighton's interest, with United's situation adding to the complexities as they are yet to confirm what will happen with Ten Hag. Any club will need to pay at least £4 million compensation to take McKenna and Pert. McKenna, a boyhood United fan, spent 5 years at Old Trafford working under Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer before joining Ipswich in December 2021. So McKenna seemingly, and I was thinking this yesterday too, Flex, that it's almost like the same with like transfers, and I suppose now managers come in to this as well. Whereas
because there's so many available,
they come in vogue, don't they? So suddenly one person's interested in. It was a bit like with Mudryk, right? When he was going to Arsenal, and then suddenly everyone's like, "Oh, God, get Mudryk." He's the player, and it's kind of feels like that's what it is with McKenna now. He's look, very impressive. 2 promotions back to back in the Premier League. He's young as well. He's previously worked at big clubs. You know, he's worked at Manchester United as an assistant manager. And everyone now wants him. Everyone wants him. Looks like he's not going to stay. I think we had that conversation, didn't we, about would he stay at Ipswich and do a year, but then with the expectation Ipswich would probably go back down, what would that do to his reputation? Apparently, it doesn't matter because Vincent Kompany is going to become the Bayern Munich manager, so you can get relegated. And just it
talk
doesn't
about
matter.
Falling upwards.
Somewhere, Sean Dyche is livid, going, "You taking the piss? I kept Burnley in the Premier League for years. I got relegated, and I ended up at Everton in a financial crisis. Vincent Kompany goes up." Comes back down, goes to Bayern Munich. Unbelievable. But yes, with the McKenna stuff, it's a bit like everyone wants him. And he probably realizes if I stay at Ipswich, look, my reputation might take a bit of a hit. Not too much. I still get a decent job, but big clubs are interested. So
the iron's hot, as they say, innit?
Exactly.
Right,
so
hot and,
where do you think he ends up? Do you think he's a legitimate option for United if they decide to change direction? Or is the fact that Chelsea are looking right now and Brighton are looking right now, even if United were interested, could we fall behind?
I feel less so on Kieran McKenna. I just think we have to remember our club is different to any of these clubs, man. Like it really, really is. And that's not just by name and we're bigger because we're the biggest. It's also by like the last 11 years. Like it's really difficult to survive at Man United. We are into uncharted territory though, like we have spoke about before. So because we've kind of pushed back on people saying, "Oh, so you know, Ten Hag will go, but the players will stay the same." We have pushed back a lot, saying, "No, things are changing." So this is, I don't know, dipping your toe into waters whereby a new young manager who's hardly had much experience coming into Man United is unthinkable to us, but actually to Ineos with what they want to build, the British aspect of it, you know, he's Northern Irish, he's been at the club. They could quite like that. And our next guy...
He's a fan.
He's a fan. Our next guy could well be someone who doesn't have much experience, someone we didn't really think, someone who hasn't been there and done it, got the T-shirt, because we've also done that. And the lack of suitors of the people... Like, we're in this sort of period of manager where, like you said it on a few streams ago, like we're looking for the next... I think it was a Trinity. We're all looking at who the next manager is. Xabi Alonso is certified one. But then after that, it's like, you know, Amorim, what's he going to be like? Yeah. Slot, what's he going to be like? Arteta's up there, hasn't even like got the big trophy yet, but he's knocking on the door. You can see something there. Kieran McKenna's done some great stuff. What's Zerbi going to be saying higher up? I mean, Vincent Kompany's now going to be in that. What's he like?
Going to get a chance at a big club, yeah.
Meant he's good. He's going to get a chance, and he's just gone down. I mean, what's worse? Going up with Burnley, playing some nice football, then going down with Burnley, playing that same football, and so you've got a style. Vincent Kompany clearly has a style. Yeah. Or getting promoted twice with Ipswich in a row, and then going up to the Premier League. So you're in the Premier League anyway, but then Premier League teams want you. It's a bigger gap going down to the Championship all the way to Bayern Munich, without a doubt. Technically, Kieran McKenna's got a Premier League team already. He's at a Premier League club.
Yeah, and again with McKenna, there's an argument to be made. Like again, the management team when he was there under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was almost a 3-person manager. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the face of it, but McKenna and Carrick were very influential in that team. Very, very influential. I think, like we were saying the other day, and you bring it up there, and it is a good point, that look at the managers that are being linked to some of these big jobs now. In, like I said, McKenna, the Leicester manager, Vincent Kompany. These are all like championship managers. And I think that is because like everyone's looking for the next. People have seen how it worked with Xabi Alonso, who was like, he was at Real Sociedad B, they got promoted and then they got relegated. And then he went to Bayer Leverkusen and look what happened to him now. People have seen what happened with Arteta before going to Arsenal, never managed a club before. He'd been Pep's assistant, very successful assistant, but never managed a big team before. And I think that these clubs are looking at that going, forget established, forget big names, big wages and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. If we can find the next person who's even managers now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I always associate managers being like their mid-50s, early 60s, like that kind of thing. Whereas now they're looking for managers who are in their late 30s, early 40s, because they want them ideally to be in the job for like a decade, 15 years at one club. I mean, it doesn't really work like that for most teams nowadays, but they're looking for that, aren't they? They're looking for that. I've been like, yeah, because if it does work out, he could be here for like 2 decades. And it was kind of the thing with Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann's another one. Again, his career ended early. When he was managing Hoffenheim, he was like 33 or something ridiculous. Mental. I mean, it's crazy. So I think people are looking for that. So I think that's, whenever they see, it's like a player, isn't it? Whenever they see potential, whenever anyone sees potential with a young person, so in the case of a football player, if it's potential of someone that's in their teens or early 20s, suddenly they're expensive. Suddenly they're in demand because it's about what could be. And it's the same with football managers. If they see a coach that's late 30s, early 40s, and they're doing stuff, whether it's, to your point, winning the championship, or they've got a good style of play that's attractive, or in their career as a player, had a good career too. Like
that always helps.
That's what people are looking, like I said, with the company thing or the Jabi Alonso thing, like that's what they're looking for. Everyone's looking for the next Pep, aren't they? So yeah, I mean, for McKenna, I think the best thing for him to do would be to go to a Brighton. I would, if I was given my advice to him, I'd be like, stay away from Chelsea at all costs, because this time next year you probably won't be in a job, not because of your fault. Look at Poch. You can actually qualify for Europe and do all right towards the end of it, given the circumstances. And then suddenly what you signed up for isn't what it's changed already. So you would go to Brighton, stable club, good players, good recruitment. They'll back you there. And,
they're aligned, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I feel like at Brighton, they're all on the, like, fans are aligned with the owners align with the managers align with the players, because they're all sort of up and coming. So they always have up and coming players, an up and coming manager, and sort of the fans, not to like be rude to Brighton fans, they're not up and coming fans, but they're fans that 100% appreciate what their model is. So when they see someone with limited experience, or a player for like 2 million from South America they've never heard of or whatever, they get behind it because it works. And they know that they'll unearth the next one. So look at Adingra now. Like if he has another season like that, keeps playing, he's going to be another 40 million player, like from nothing, from like 2 million or whatever they got him for. So Moder, it's the same thing. They always do it in CISO.
And CISO, you can see him going for like 50 million.
You can just see it. You can see it all already. It's mental how they keep doing it. Estepinian, I think he must have got injured. I didn't even see him to the rest of the season. Lamptey, they got cheap from Chelsea when everyone thought, and he's up and down. Evan Ferguson, I mean, had a horrible season this year. Didn't do anything like he done last year. So he's another one. So yeah, it's crazy. I agree with you. Kieran McKenna said it yesterday on TalkSport. Like, stay away from Chelsea. Do not go there. They will ruin you, mate, and you don't deserve that. And in terms of the Man United job, my instinct, never say never, because this football thing, you just never know. And we're about to find out a hell of a lot more Monday morning, to be fair. Sunday morning, after
about the circumstances, about Ineos. We don't know. Like, we don't know how they're going to operate. We've got such a small sample size of how they've moved in the market. That's only so far, like Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Dan Ashworth to an extent. That's all we know. So we don't put it this way. I wouldn't, you couldn't put it past Ineos to be like you say, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, like a Romano or Ornstein goes, like, Kieran McKenna's in talks with Man United, something's going to happen. You cannot rule that out. You can't rule that out for anyone at the moment.
No, that's the key for anyone.
Yeah.
Ryan says, Arteta was City assistant when he joined Arsenal. Alonso was Sociedad B manager before Leverkusen. Pep was Barca B manager before Barca. # McKenna in Chelsea FC. He wants him. Ryan sold. Ryan saying, no, I want him at Chelsea. So yeah. I don't know, Ryan. I think you lot were ruining him, mate. I don't think Todd Bowley knows his ass from his elbows, to be honest with you. You were a sweat once. Says, I've been a member for 7 months. And says, the merry-go-round of managers has begun. United need to get it right. Do you think Eddie Howe could be a casualty of the moment? Pay Newcastle their peas. No, I think Eddie Howe's all right. I think he's fine. There was a point in the season where they're saying, I tell you what, though, if they don't get any Europe, like, what happens there? But he's be fine. Ryan says McKenna would sell the shit he knows in your squad. And Kristen says, this fan base will call McKenna a PE teacher 2.0 when things go wrong. Eric Ten Hag in. And you know
when
what?
things go wrong, before you, even
Just straight away,
the day he sat again, we'll do this for anyone. Like again,
people who didn't want Ten Hag as well would moan straight away.
Yeah, exactly. It will be for. This is the thing. Like one of the biggest falsehoods, isn't it? Is that the fans are always going to be on the same page. Never going to happen. It's not. Like, regardless, if it's Ten Hag stays, there'll be a portion of people that are unhappy that he stayed. There'll be people that he's happy. If it's McKenna, people won't like that because, like you said, Ten Hag would have gone, or also he's not good enough. Thomas Tuchel, it'd be the same for him. De Zerbi, be the same for him. Pochettino, it'd be the same for him. And then it would just be a case of how quick, like you said, like the super chat says, you know, because people will be waiting. Like that's what it is. The only thing that can unify the fan base is winning. That's it. And it's the same with player performances, manager performances, results. That's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. We have got nearly 1,600 people watching live. Big up to you. I want to set you guys a little bit of a challenge, actually. Currently on playback, we've got 535 members. I don't know if this is too big, but I'm going to set the challenge anyway. We've got 535 members. Can you guys click the link in the video description and pinned in the chat and get us to 600 members? Can you do it? 70 odd members. I think you guys could do that. 70 of you must not be on playback. Can you click it? Get us to 600 strong on the community so we can get our first road to 1,000 on playback. We'd really like you guys to do that. There's extra content on there, full view extra, flexing KG show extra, where you guys can call in. Owen doing crazy random quizzes. Me with doing them as well. Good. There's going to be some EAFC on there, some watch alongs and stuff throughout the Euros. Loads of stuff. So if you haven't done that, please do so now. Just click the link there. It says follow United View on playback. Just click it and join our community. Follow us on there. And on here, we've got 556 likes as well. I think, did you say 600, Owen? You did, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah.
We can go higher. So we'll get 600 easy. We could definitely go higher than that as we get to over 600 people watching live as well. Thank you, Kristen, for your last super chat as well. Much appreciated, my brother. De Zerbi's dream. It was all a dream.
This is again, this is how crazy all of this is getting in the last few days. All of the different people that want the job are going into business for themselves. Okay. So that's why you're hearing, like, you know, stuff from Italy about De Zerbi. That's why you're hearing stuff from Germany about Thomas Tuchel. That's why you're hearing stuff about Poch right now. And as I mentioned, De Zerbi, this comes from Alfredo Padula, who was really the one that was all over. He's an Italian-based journalist. He's all over the one about Rasmus Højlund coming in last season. He was accurate about that. So he does have ties in Italy. And he has said Roberto De Zerbi's dream is to manage Manchester United. The question is, Fleck, yeah, whose is it?
Isn't it? It's my
question is there any, if you were to sort of rank the possibilities of who could be the manager next season, including Erik ten Hag, would you say De Zerbi would be quite low down on that list, given everything that's happened over the last sort of few days?
I think so. I think it'd be quite low down. I don't know if it's because I'm biased as well. Like, you know, the thing of, like, we hear news and then we decide based on our own opinions.
I don't like it, so it's bullshit.
I don't like. Yeah, I don't want De Zerbi. I don't. I've never been convinced. Even when he was sort of going through some good spells at Brighton and everyone talking about him, saying, "Yeah, you know, I tell you what, not for me, not for me." It's just, and you know what? I can't even really depict what it really is. So probably, I'm just going to be honest. Maybe it's a bit of an agenda. I just think he's a bit overrated. I just don't see the gas. I think there's too much gas on him. He's done well. He's done some good things at Brighton. Same with Graham Potter. They take some absolute batterings through naivety and not changing, and then they absolutely play people off the park some games. And I just don't feel it. The character, I just don't feel it. I just don't feel it. I don't know. Do you feel it?
I don't. Well, I don't see it. I don't see him being the United manager. I mean, if it was only him on the market, then I could maybe see that one being a bit more likely. But I think given the alternatives that are now out there, that I just feel like Ineos would be more inclined to, you know, Pochettino, Tuchel, or keeping Ten Hag. I feel like he would be low down on that list. But De Zerbi, I do think he's a good coach. I don't know, again, if he would work at United for a couple of reasons. I think one way he would work is, look, at Brighton, we spoke about their recruitment structure earlier on. That's the direction I think Man United are going in for recruitment, where it's like this, the head coach, they've got those people above them. The head of recruitment, I think, has now actually gone to Chelsea, which you never know. I mean, Chelsea, I think, are looking for a much younger. Zerbi's not going to become the Chelsea manager, they're saying, or head coach. But so that's how it could work. His style of play is very, very, very technical. And if even half of those United players stay, it's going to be in big trouble with that. They can't do that.
Big trouble.
I don't know about his ability to manage some of the players, like, senior players. He's had a couple of run-ins with some players, and at United, historically, that might not go very well for him. I don't know. I just see it lower down on the list.
Yeah.
I'm a bit, to be honest, again, this is, I said this about Poch the other day, and I'll still stick by this. Like, I'm not, if it was Pochettino that came in, I'd be quite concerned, actually. Because I see him and Ten Hag as quite interchangeable this season. I really do, in the sense of, like, the same issues that Chelsea fans speak about with Poch are the same ones that a lot of United fans talk about with Ten Hag. Injuries, plan B, too open, end-to-end, defensively not sure, complaining about transfers and what have you, and injury. Like, I just look at that as quite similar, and going, or some complaints about training. I go, well, is that really an upgrade? If you had to ask me, Poch or Ten Hag, I'd be like, well, I'd just probably stick with Ten Hag and see what happens. I think with Thomas Tuchel, legitimately, I think a lot of people have poo-pooed his CV, and I know he hasn't had the best season at Bayern Munich, but I've seen a lot of people try and play down stuff he's done in his career that he hasn't done. What's he ever won? Champions League, titles everywhere he's been. And they go, but he only plays a back three. It's not true. He's played back four at Bayern and PSG, so I don't know. But going to Zerbi, I just can't see that. I can't.
I just don't think the character, I just think he'd get pissed off if things weren't moving at his pace at some point and just get quite volatile. And maybe that's a really sort of lazy thing for me to assume. It's just how I feel. I'm just going to be honest. If I was proved wrong and he came, and I would look back on days like today where I've said things like that, where I just couldn't see it and be humbled. But I don't think he's the right guy. I really don't. Apner says, yeah, sure. Italian Capitano of Vivo Obviosissini. United is like Ferrari. Everyone dreams of that job.
And again, I do think that is absolutely true. I think that's absolutely true. That, again, we've seen it. Florian Plettenberg saying how much Tuchel wants the United job. You've got them, people in Italy saying how much Zerbi wants the job. You've now got Poch, who's been primarily based in England for a lot of his career. Suddenly now a lot of English journalists are going, oh yeah, Poch would be really interested in the United job. Nobody knows. Like, nobody knows what's going to happen. But they're all agents. They're all sharks in the water. They smell blood at Man United at the moment. They see a position that they could get their client in.
Yeah, and that's their job. That's their job to push and push and push, and to sound out suitors and sound out people who would be interested. That is what they've got to do. We've got over 1,600 people watching now, and over 600 likes as well. We've got 614. And also on Playback, you guys have done a really good job already. We were at sort of 535 members, and now we're at nearly 550. So a good, 15 or so people who have done it to get us to that 600. So there's, just about 51 left to get to 600. Again, we might not do it in this show, but again, if you haven't, please hit the link there and follow us on Playback and help get us to 600. We want our road to 1K on Playback as well. So yeah, tune in over there for extra bits of content. Everything on YouTube, as you see it, is how you see it. It will stay. It will remain. This is extra, bespoke, one-of-one, unique content that isn't here. Will be on there. Ashworth blunder. More on that.
Yes, there's a bit more on that, and it comes from. It must be said. I think we're starting to see this for what this is, because once again, this comes from Craig Hope, the Newcastle-based journalist.
He's come back.
He's gone to Newcastle and gone, got any more info for me? And they do have some more information for him. he said that Dan Ashworth tried to cover his tracks by deleting the email he sent to his Newcastle account, revealing secret talks with Manchester United, and then claimed comments made by Eddie Howe had made his position untenable. Newcastle sporting director sent an email in early February to Omar Barada, the incoming Manchester United chief executive, in which he made it clear he wanted to accept the offer of the same role at Old Trafford. However, Ashworth sent a blind copy to his Newcastle email address before apparently realizing the error and deleting the evidence. At this stage, Man United had not approached Newcastle, and Ashworth had not informed his employers of the clandestine talks with a rival. The subsequent discovery of the email by the club is embarrassing for Ashworth and Barada, who were still on gardening leave for Manchester City. It could lead to a Premier League probe if a complaint is made. In a further twist, we understand Ashworth then claimed comments made by Howe had made his position untenable. However, this was in relation to comments made by the head coach on February 16, 1 week after the secret exchange with Barada that Ashworth thought he had erased. The story had broken about Ashworth being ready to defect to Man United, and Howe was asked for his thoughts in a press conference. He agreed with the suggestion it was a concern that Ashworth still had access to Newcastle's transfer plans and financial information, and called for a swift resolution to the situation. Ashworth believed this left him unable to work for the club. In reality, he had already accepted an offer from Man United. And as I mentioned, Flex, I think this is a case of the process of arbitration is meant to be confidential, but it's playing out in public. It's playing out in public because you've got the Newcastle side of things that going, there were these talks, these emails, breaches of confidentiality, people on gardening leave working, blah, 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 blah. And then you've got the United or the Ashworth side of things going, I was fired. I never resigned. I was never told to resign. You kicked me out, all this kind of stuff. That's the arbitration hearing. They literally
They can't do that. They should let me work.
Yeah.
I didn't. You
Exactly.
You flipping falsified. You shat on yourself and the emails we saw. You were talking to them before. We want more money. It is literally been played out in public, like you said. It's incredible what's actually happening. And even that thing of Ashworth saying, yeah, well, because after Eddie Howe said that in the presser, what could I do?
I had to leave.
I remember watching that as well because he was like. That was when we knew, because before he said that, obviously all the news came out, but we hadn't really heard anything official. And as soon as you hear Eddie Howe sort of say, it's very concerned, and he's basically got all our secrets. Need a swift solution to this. 3 months later, still going on. Anything but swift. And also with Dougie Freedman staying at Palace and signing a new deal, by the way.
Wow,
Romano's saying that actually does have a little bit of a. It's interesting to talk about that because that was who was lined up to be the replacement, obviously, for Dan Ashworth at Newcastle, and that looked like it was going to happen. And now it's not. I'm not saying that Newcastle don't have someone else lined up and don't have a plan. Cool, but you would think that they wanted to get the next. What the stories were starting to be is that Dougie Freedman gets in. Once that gets tied up, then this should accelerate the Dan Ashworth stuff. But now that hasn't happened. One could assume that Newcastle are back to square one, or they're again not being bullied on this thing. They're not just going to sign Dougie Freedman quickly because we need someone. We can't operate without sporting director like we thought. It also proves that they're sticking to their guns as well. But it can be viewed as, wait, this is not good for anyone. You still don't have anyone. Dougie Freedman's staying. We don't have anyone. You're paying Dan Ashworth still to do nothing. He's taking you to arbitration. You've got to turn up to arbitration. You want more compensation. We don't want to give it to you. Like, it's just a mess for everyone. So it was quite interesting that Dougie Freedman is set to stay at Crystal Palace and sign a new deal. And by the way, Crystal Palace, what intent they're showing as well, by the way. Kept Glasner, just locked down Freedman. Look at the team now. Great intent from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was funny, actually. I did see some reports on social media as well saying, one of the reasons why, as you mentioned, Freedman staying at Palace is because of Glasner and the way they're moving. But also as well that Newcastle is maybe struggling a little bit is to find a replacement is because of the manner of which this Dan Ashworth situation is played out. And any incoming sporting director sort of looks at that and goes, it's a bit messy, that. Do I really want to be involved? Do I really want to be involved in it? And also, there's been some reportings even from Keith Downey when you spoke to him saying, well, they were sporting director, but actually a lot of the more traditional powers or roles you would have if you're a sporting director aren't necessarily the case at Newcastle, because the recruitment's handled by the Hows as opposed to complete under the sporting director's remit. And some sporting directors might be like, that's not for me then. So yeah, that's an interesting one. But to your point, the longer that plays out, the lack of a replacement, you know, we had always heard that, well, once a replacement comes in, things might speed up with Dan Ashworth. Maybe that's another part of it. They don't want to leave themselves, you know, shortchanged. But you could probably, the Man United side of things would be like, well, the quicker you get rid of him, then you can just focus all of your attention on that. You don't have to worry about Dan Ashworth and what have you. So, yeah, it's getting very, very messy, isn't it? Very messy.
It is.
Dirty laundry in public. And to be honest with you, like with a lot of things with Manchester United, I'll be glad when it's done. I'll be glad when it's over and we can move on.
Can we get this? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like we saw with Nick Purell saying earlier on today, you know, with Kieran McKenna, he's, you know, we're giving the green light to Chelsea to put him on the list. It looks like he wouldn't mind it, according to a lot of reports. Looks like he wouldn't mind it. So watch this space. Watch this space. Brilliant show, guys. We got to 1,600 people watching. We got over 600 likes. I tell you what, we're at 670, 671 now as well. 29 guys, 29 likes on the way out. You guys can do that. Get us to 700 likes, which would be fantastic. Where did we get to on playback? Let me just triple check and we refresh that. We got to 557, so nearly 560. So well done, guys, for everyone who went across the playback to follow our community there. If you haven't done it, oh, I just kicked my camera. Don't know where it's going to go now. Don't know where I am. If you haven't done it, please do so. Help us out on playback, our road to 1K. And on United View, we are on the road to 200K. You know, we want to get to that 170 first, and then obviously road to 200K, which would be fantastic. Big summer coming up. A lot of content to be done, a lot of growth to be had, and a lot of interactions with you guys to be made. What we got coming up later on today, Owen, What the Devil, and also there's a press conference, right?
Yes, there's a press conference 4:30, so I'm going to probably be live about 5-ish for that one. Obviously, some big stuff from Erik ten Hag. Yeah. Obviously, team news ahead of the final, injuries. He'll be asked about Rashford being left out the England squad. Naturally, he'll be asked about his future as well. Could potentially be his last pre-match press conference. You never know. So there's going to be a lot going on with Erik ten Hag today. So I'll be live for that.
All there in the lead up to the game as well, guys. Right, take care. We'll see you on the next episode of The Morning View. Take care. Peace.